All right, let's quickly make our kick. We're going to do something kind of basic that follows the same pattern as the track, and then we can refine it a little bit more later on when we have implemented the rest of our voices. So the setup we're going to use is kind of keep repeating this basic template that we get. So the first thing we should do is let's move all these down a level. And switch it around a bit. So I want to put the scope after it, and this will change from voice to voice or part to part, but let's just start to get this idea of levels going on here. Let's put the mixer back up there. So what we've got is we're going to put in our label. So remember, search for CF label. I've already got it there. And here's our label. And we can right click down the bottom, enter label, and type in kick. Whoops, here we go. Great, so that'll help us remember later on that this is like our kick voice. And what happens in this preset, we remember that the low pass filter goes out to this mixer, which is also receiving the ADSR for a CV-in. Basically, this is 4 VCAs in a row. We just want one. So search for VCA. We're going to keep using the fundamental VCV stuff whenever we can. So this VCA is kind of like almost like 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 4 of these is like one mixer, except they don't mix together. So we can just disconnect everything that's in the mixer at the moment, and we'll patch it up like this. The output of our filter will still go to the input of our VCA. And then that output will go to this first channel on the mixer. And that's going to allow us to mix different voices together. Let's do a little bit more. What's one other thing we need to do? Oh yeah, take the output of the ADSR and command click and put that into our VCA. So that's going to now function the same way this was functioning, but just in a single channel instead of 4. We can put the scope there. We can delete this note voice, and let's just move these over here. We'll probably have to rearrange these a bit more as we go, but now this is going to provide like a basic, we can put in 4 different parts into this mixer that will then go to our speakers. Here's our kick voice, here's channel 1. Cool, let's initialize the VCO, so right click and press initialize the VCF, and initialize the ADSR. And finally, last little setup, just so we can see what's coming out of here as well. Let's take the output of this VCA and put it into our scope. So we'll see that too. So now if we listen to the track and kind of analyze the drum part really quickly. Look at the right hand, or his left hand. Beat, 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 beat. Beat, beat. That's the kick part in the left hand. So let's put that into our sequence here. There's my kick MIDI clip, and it was kick on beat 1, kick on beat 2, and then kick, kick, kick there. So this is kind of more like it. There we go. And I believe the tempo is more around 112. So not sounding awesome yet, but that's because we initialized all our modules. So what do we need to do? Let's start by getting the envelope right. We definitely don't want a slow attack. That's better. And then currently, the ADSR is really only influencing the loudness or the amplifier or the VCA at the moment. It is connected to the VCF, but with this knob in its middle position, it's not doing anything yet. We can open up the filter all the way though, just so that we can hear the note more clearly. Then the next thing we want to do is probably turn down the sustain that's of our ADSR. So here we go. Cool. The next thing we want to do is probably lower the pitch of our VCO. So let's do that. we can tune that as we go. The next thing would be to play with the decay to try and get the timing of that kick. So if we listen to the kick itself, it's quite short. Boom, 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 boom. So let's get that happening with the decay. One thing I failed to mention as well, with this voice, we actually don't need this volts per octave connection coming in to our VCO, and I think that's why I was a bit slow on this knob, wasn't quite doing what I was thinking, because we're also getting pitch information. So for this voice, we don't need that. We're just using the initial template connection of the gate going to the gate on the ADSR. We've also left this re-trigger in here, which is also fine to leave. So let's play with that again. And one other thing that we need to change from our preset is that let's use the sine wave. The preset comes with the saw output of the VCO connected. Let's use the sine. That'll give us more of that pure kicky sound. There we go. That's it. Playing with the decay. It's at this point where we could connect a third connection from our ADSR output to the FM input on our VCO. So not the volts per octave input, but just the FM one. And again, now this will apply the envelope from our ADSR to the frequency of our VCO when we turn up this knob. So we won't hear anything till we start turning this up. So let's do that. Great, so that's also something to play with because it kind of gives you that slightly higher pitch at the start of the note. We'll also see that this ADSR is also connected to the frequency of our filter, which is another really common thing to play with on our kick drum. So if we turn this to the right, it will apply the envelope to the filter frequency. But at the moment, with the filter frequency all the way up, you're not going to hear anything anyway. So let's turn the filter down a bit. You can definitely hear that filter turning down. And then apply a bit of the ADSR envelope to it as well. So those are our common parameters to play with here. So you've got the base frequency of the VCO, and then that is initially goes through the amplifier, which is controlled by our ADSR. We're also using that same ADSR envelope to control the pitch of our VCO by connecting the ADSR to the FM input and turning up that FM knob. And also the same ADSR is going to the frequency CV input of our filter. So when we turn down the filter a little bit from its initial position up here to about there, and then turn this knob to the right, we get a little bit of the frequency of the filter kind of going like this, pew, 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 each time we hit a note. That's our basic kick voice. Again, we can tune it a lot more later. Let's go on to the next thing.